Hello, good morning, students. See, 10th standard. Now, today we are going to learn the reader book Footprints Without Feet, the second unit, Thief Story. I'll read it. Meanwhile, I'll explain also. And pay attention to what I'm actually going to deal with. The thief story. It's a story of a thief. It's a story by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is very famous for his stories related to the crime world and detective stories, as well as he is very famous for secret writings and elements bringing in his story. A young boy makes friends with Anil. You see, Ruskin Bond, Anil by name, you can understand that it is Indian setting only. Young boy makes friends with Anil. Anil trusts him completely and employs him. Does the boy betray his trust? That's the question. And what happens in the story, that we'll see. See, the story starts with the first line. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and thought only 15, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Fairly successful hand means he was very much successful in pickpocketing or as a thief. His art of stealing, he was good at that. His age was only 15 and still he was good at that. That boy made Anil. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. Went. He was about 25. His age was 25, a tall, lean fellow. Lean, not very strong and tall. And he looked easygoing. Easygoing, a simple personality. Kind and simple enough for my purpose. So this boy made Anil, and who was very much good material for completing his purpose, boy's purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. See, the speaker is a thief in the story, and he is speaking. Now, I hadn't had is a perfect past tense. So the story is being told, and the perfect past tense means that the effect was the then observed. Now there is no effect of in the present of that thing. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. So making late was not good for him, and he was thinking that he'll get confidence in the confidence of Anil. You look a bit of a wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends. To flatter means to talk to someone and to praise him, so that to flatter, try to make friends, to praise somebody, flattering. So do you, he replied. Sorry, what he said, you look a bit of a wrestler yourself. And he said to Anil, that young boy said that you look like a wrestler. So do you, he replied. And what Anil said, hey, you are also looking like a wrestler. which puts me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. Now see, he was praising, he thinks that making flattery, यानी मस्का लगा रहा था. लेकिन what was the answer by Anil? It was such an answer that this very thin boy, very thin, दुबला पतला लड़का भी, उसको भी what Anil said, so do you also look like a wrestler. Well, I said modestly, being modest, showing attitude. I do wrestle a bit. I do wrestle a bit sometime. थोड़ा बहुत. What's your name? Hari Singh. I lied. Now this boy told his name as Hari Singh, but that was not his name. So what he said, I lied. He was not telling the truth. I took a new name every month. He was a thief, so he changing name was very common for him. That kept me ahead of the police and my former employers, and he kept me ahead means saved from the police and former employers. Was he having employers? No, he was not having employer. He was working in some company? No, means he was robbing the people. So due to that, telling the truth name was not possible for him. After this introduction, Anil talked about the well-oiled wrestlers. The wrestlers are putting oil on their body. So he was talking about them, who were grunting, shouting, making noise, lifting and throwing each others about, and they were lifting each other and throwing. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually, and Anil was walking and I was following him casually, just casually, without any aim. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. So when Anil again said hello, are you paying attention to me? He was walking casually. So Anil said hello and he smiled at him. Who? Hari Singh. This name is not correct, but we'll use that. I want to work for you, I said, but I can't pay you. Now, Hari Singh this said to Anil, I want to work for you. I want to be your servant. And Anil said, I can't pay you. I thought that over for a minute, perhaps I had misjudged my man. I asked, can you feed me? So perhaps for a moment he thought, this thief thought that he is moneyless person. Okay, so robbing him is not a good idea. Robbing him is not a good idea. So he thought like that. Can you feed me? Then the thief asked, can you just feed me? Can you cook? Anil asked, can you cook? I can cook. I lied again. What it means? He was not telling the truth. I can cook. If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you. So if you can cook, I can feed you. He took me to his room over the Juma sweet shop. Okay, sorry, Jumna sweet shop, and told me I could sleep on the balcony, but the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. Now they went to the room, and where the room was over the Jumna sweet shop, and told they were living in the balcony. Who? Anil was living in the balcony and accompanied Hari Singh. This thief also accompanied, and that night this thief cooked, and the food was so terrible that Anil could not eat and gave it to street dogs, and told me to be off to keep away himself from cooking. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way, and he couldn't help laughing. And he told to be off, to go away, but he just kept on smiling, that thief. Later he patted me on, shabas ki dena. Later he patted me on the head and said, never mind, okay, ठीक है. जैसा भी कुक कर सके, it was your first time, it's okay. He would teach me to cook. Who? Anil would teach cook to the thief. He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentence and to add numbers. I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. What he is thinking? The thief is thinking of stealing only. Then he will be educated thief. What to steal and what not, he will come to know. So he was thinking of his own progress in his profession of stealing. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies like vegetables and all, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day, and he was saving 1 rupees in purchasing the things. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. And Anil knew that he was making money, but he was not minding, he was not paying attention to that. Anil made money by fits and starts. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a queer way to make a living. It's a very difficult way. It's a very difficult thing. What Anil was doing, he was writing. He was writing and he was borrowing money. He was writing, he was doing work, he was sending the work to someone, and next day he was getting his check. When he used to get the check, he was celebrating. Okay, so he was writing for a magazine. It seems that he wrote for a magazine. He might be writing stories or something else. Who? Anil. One evening he came home with a small bundle of notes saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. Tuck यानी छिपा देना. Press with pressure, that is tuck. So at night he brought, one day he brought a bundle of money, rupees, and he kept it under the mattress, under the pillow. I had been working, and who saw this? The thief saw this. I had been working for Anil for almost a month. It was a month time now, and apart from cheating on the shopping, he was cheating at shopping, saving 1 rupee, right, and keeping him with himself. Had not done anything in my line of work. Now he was a thief and he forgot his work. Stealing money, robbing people, and what he was doing, he was cooking and making tea for Anil, and he was working for Anil. I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door. Anil gave me the key of the door also, so he had many opportunities to steal money and something else from him. And I could come and go as I pleased. Whatever time he wanted to come and go, he can use that key to open the door and come inside and go outside. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. What was, see, a thief is praising Anil, so he must be really very good. What the thief says, that he was the most trusting person. He was a person who used to trust in people I had ever met, and that is why it was so difficult to rob him. And ऐसा होता है ना, जब आप पे कोई भरोसा करता है तो उसको चीट करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. जब when somebody shows confidence in you, somebody shows trust in you, you cannot break that trust, you cannot crack that trust. So this is human nature, and those who are doing, then they are the worst people, है ना. कोई अगर फिर भी आपका भरोसा तोड़ता है तो वो कैसे हैं? बहुत बुरे हैं. तो ज़िंदगी में क्या याद रखना चाहिए? ऑलवेज कीप इट इन माइंड, ट्रस्ट इन पीपल and don't crack anyone's trust, especially your parents. So it's easy to rob a greedy man. If it is a greedy man, it is very easy to rob him. because he can afford to be robbed. Yeah. A greedy man has money, and it is affordable. He can afford, some money can be robbed. Hmm? But it's difficult to rob a careless man. But a man who is careless, who is not caring the things. You know? So where his money is kept, see what kind of thinking the thief has here. You know? So is it good to rob anyone? No, it's not. But he is a thief. It is his work to rob the people, right? So it is his work to rob the people, and he is saying that it's okay, he is robbing. And to be robbed. So careless man, to rob him very difficult. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work. एंड केयरलेस मैन जो होता है उसको पता भी नहीं चलता कि उसकी जेब काट दी, तो चोरी करने में मज़ा नहीं आता. हु सेज? द थीफ सेज. Who says? The thief says. The pleasure goes away. Well, it's time I did some real work, I told myself. Now there's money and I shall do my real work. I'm out of practice. Now 1 month he is working for Anil, cooking and making tea only, so he is out of practice now. He is not practicing his skill. And if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. And अगर मैं ये पैसे नहीं लेता, if I don't take it, what he'll do? He will lose that money on his friends. He is not even paying him. His salary is not even, maybe. That is why he says like this. Okay. Now see, read and find aloud. There's a question. First question. What is the question? How does the thief think Anil will react to the theft? Okay, that is the further part. So we have to read it further. You have to read it further. But we will answer the question given on the first page. What were the questions on the first page? See here. What was the question? The question is, who does I refer to in this story? Who is this I? The thief. The I refers to the thief in the story. Okay. What is he a fairly successful hand at? Means what he is good at. Okay. So he is fairly successful hand at stealing, robbing the people. He is an experienced thief. So he is so clean and swift and good at robbing, pickpocketing. That is what he is trying to say by a fairly successful hand. What does he get from Anil in return for his work? Now, what does he get from Anil in return for his work? In return of the thief's work, what Anil gave him? Anil gave him food and a place to live in. That was given. Okay, understood? Next part I'll send it in the next video. Okay, good day, students.